Hello and welcome, I'm Ishani and thank you so much for stopping by. Today we are doing some coloring with alcohol markers. This video is perfect for beginners in card making and is also a part of a video hop called Marker Magic by Altenew Educators. And there is a giveaway of $120 in total prizes for which you have to hop and leave a comment for a chance to win. The hop list is in the description. So as card makers, when coloring our images, we all aim to create smooth, seamless blends with alcohol markers that mimic the sense of natural lighting and shading on an object. But for all that, you need a range of colors from very light to the darkest, with transition colors in between. I have chosen to case my own card. Case means copy and share everything. And we will recreate this card in a different color. With all being said about seamless blends and needing a lot of markers, what if you're new and don't have all the set of markers? Today is all about getting a clear contrast without all the different shades of colors. So for stamping, I am taking this rose tea stamp set and I'm using this rose for my card. I will stamp this little flower and I am using a light pink cardstock similar to the frosty pink cardstock by Altenew. You have to make sure that your cardstock is smooth cardstock. Also, if the cardstock is of a higher GSM, it will help because alcohol inks tend to bleed, and if you apply too many layers, you will have the color bleed through the paper. So first thing is paper and the next is your balance of number of layers of coloring. I have linked a PDF to the supplies used and tips to color with alcohol markers in the description and on my blog that you can check out. For stamping, I'm going to use a pink colored dye ink for a no line coloring look. I've taken fresh dye inks, rose petals, and the color that I'm using is puffy heart for stamping. I'll stamp my rose with the stamp wheel twice to get a good impression. My cheat code, and the reason I'm using a light colored cardstock is because I don't have many colors of alcohol markers. So the lightest color of my flower will be the color of the cardstock. Next time you feel you do not have the light colors in the palette, take the advantage of a light colored cardstock for making the highlights. For my coloring, I am using the Artist Marker Sunshine Valley Garden set, which has 12 colors. They have perfect 4 colors, each of pinks, greens and yellows. So most of the guesswork is over of which color to use. I'll use the pinks for my flower and the greens for the leaves. Also, one more green I will use for my flower. This green will be used for my second cheat code. And this cheat code is used when you do not have all the colors for creating the depths and highlights. While coloring, you can go from light to dark, but when our lightest is the cardstock, I like to go from the dark to light. So all the little shadows that I have, like at the corner of the petals, we will first do these corners. And these corners will be the darkest. So I have the raspberry here, which is my darkest pink color. The next is Rubellite. Next we have Pinkalicious. And the lightest of the pink is the Pink Diamond. So now these are the 4 colors that I have for the rose. So let's go ahead and color. I'm taking the fine tip of my raspberry marker and start at the corners of the petals. One thing to remember while coloring with alcohol markers is blend it while they are wet. We have to work quickly to mix the colors. So we will first focus on one petal and then move ahead. This will give a smooth transition. At some places I am just applying the ink, but at some I am using the flicking technique. Flicking technique helps in getting soft transition and smooth gradients. So after my first shade, I am going to use Rubellite, which is the second darkest shade, and also give some raised edges to the petals. Then I get the third lightest color, Pinkalicious, and flick on the edges of the petal as well. This will make our petal feel as if it's rolled down, with the center being the highlight and the depths on both the sides. What I'm going to do is get on with my light hand and do the flicks from top and bottom of the petal, leaving the highlight in the center of the petal. I come again with my dark to light pink colors without oversaturating the paper. And next comes the colorless blender, the Zero pen. This comes just as one pen at Altenew website and is a must in your stash. I would love if you'd consider shopping via my affiliate link at no extra cost to you. It is mentioned in the description below. Colorless blender will help in two ways for this rose, as it will help in creating seamless gradient and also help in lifting off the color from the highest point of a petal that will be a highlight. Again, I will get my Pinkalicious and Pink Diamond and go over the colors once again and add the blender to blend the colors and lift off like earlier. But what if you want depth to get more deep in color? It's time to get our cheat code. For that, I'm using the Firefly green marker. This helps because it is a complementary color on a color wheel to the pinks. And when we add a complementary color, we get darker shadows. So this effect happens because the complementary colors neutralize each other and reduce the saturation, which leads to a darker hue. So what is giving us more depth is actually the green. And I go ahead in the corners and make my corners a little more darker to create more depth. You can add a light pink over the green if you feel the green is showing on the paper. The light pink over it will neutralize and create darker shadows. So then you get a beautiful petal with lovely contrast of the rolled up petal with its highlights and the shadows of the depths. For the next petal, I am choosing this thin petal to show you that you don't have to do so much of work. For this petal with the lesser surface area, I am just going to use my 3 colors over each other to create a lovely blend and keep the end of the petal without any color. Also, I get my Zero blender pen to blend and also lift off the color from the tip of the petal. And for creating darker shadows, you can again get your light green for the corners and then cover it with pink and blend in the colors. If you want to try, you should look for an image of a rose in its natural surrounding, and I want you to notice how the petals fold, how much the petal is exposed, how much is tucked underneath. With this knowledge, you can do a very good job of coloring the rose. I am not a great colorist, but I'm somebody who always is looking for some tips and tricks to reduce my work. You can also call me a little bit lazy, but the way my brain works is how can I achieve more without spending much money first and also get the most out of my supplies. And for this card, it is just using the colored cardstock, a blender pen, and a color which is in contrast to the main color of the flower. In this case, a light green for the pinks, or if you're coloring with yellows, you can use a violet. Also, if you have gray markers, that also give shadows. You can use them for creating shadows as well. So now that you have seen how I'm doing my petals, we will move ahead and do a little bit of center of our flower, because this rose has little small petals tucked inside, for which I'm using a green color first, and then I go ahead with my darker pinks and then take my lighter pinks and then create the little highlights. The thing to remember in this is they are all organic. We don't have to really be very precise, but where we have the lines, the stamped lines, we need to have a little color there to define that this is a petal. I'll go ahead and color all the petals, speed it up. With coloring, you have the power to make a petal curl in the way you want. Where you add the depths, where you add the highlights will decide how your petal is curled up or down. So I go ahead and finish off all my petals. I have sped up a coloring process that took around 40 minutes for me in these 2 minutes. So please don't think I was just as impatient as a child to get this over. And now let us go ahead and see how to create a card with this beautifully colored rose. Also, I must apologize if you think that the color of the cardstock is changing. It is because we have the cloudy skies today, and sometimes there's sun and sometimes there's not, so that's why the change in the colored cardstock. If you're enjoying my video, please do subscribe to my channel and check out the various playlists that I have, from how to stretch your supplies to coloring to different mediums like alcohol inks and watercoloring. You will find them all there. I share a lot of my work on Instagram, Facebook, and on my blogs. Please do check them out as well. To finish off my flowers, there's one more addition that I want to do, which is adding a little white. I'm using the woodless coloring pencils by Altenew. You can use any of your white pencils to add on to our highlight. We already have the highlights shining through, but a little bit of pencil colors will bring it to life. We have a little bit of coloring left to do for the leaves. And how do I stamp my leaves? I'm going to create a mask by stamping my flower on a sticky note, and then I fussy cut just at the edge, the black stamped edge of my flower. This will give me a mask which will fit my stamped and colored image perfectly. After that, I stamp my leaves in a green color. You can use any green. I'm using this light eucalyptus dye ink, and because I did not stamp it perfectly, I added a little color with a marker. And to color my leaf, I am using 3 greens from the same set along with my blender pen. And I speed it up as well because this is just basic coloring. We are not doing much here. My previous card that I have cased, I had used grays to color my leaf, but for this card I'm using the greens. One more way to get another shade of color without actually having a marker is by picking up the color with your blender pen from the marker itself. Like here, I am using the lightest of my greens and taking the color on my blender pen from the nib of the green alcohol marker. That way, the highlight of my leaf is the lightest of the greens. It is not the blended, it is not what we did for the rose, but it is the light color diluted with the alcohol of the blender pen. So this way, you did not have a light cardstock for the highlight. You're not adding a crayon or a white color pencil. You're just adding a little diluted color with your blender pen. And here we have a beautifully colored rose with limited colors available in our hand. I usually go in with my pencil colors after I've done alcohol marker coloring, but because this is marker magic, I'm just letting this magic be just how it is. One more thing that I want to achieve is the glow behind my flower, for which I'm going to use the same colors that I have on my flower, and I'm going to use these colors to blend around my flower on the corners of my cardstock to get a faint glow. With the ink blending that I'm doing, our eyes will be drawn towards the flower because everywhere else around the flower is darker. So I am using various pinks and dark pinks and browns that I have in my stash to go around and ink blend. Also, these ink blending brushes are just perfect size for such kind of a technique. I love to create such halo and glow looks for my cards, and if you also like such cards and if you like to ink blend without much bicep work, then go ahead and get these ink blending brushes by Altenew. If you want to recreate this card, just remember to choose the colors to ink blend which are closest to the family of the main image. Also, you can add grays at the extreme end of the cardstock. To finish off the card, I have taken a dark red top folding card base and I adhere my beautifully colored panel with foam tape and glue, and I have stamped this little banner, "Love you my friend," and I add it again with foam tape. And here is our beautiful card. If you try this technique, don't forget to tag me, Quillish, on Instagram and Facebook. Also, do check out all the other educators that are participating in this hop to get a chance of winning the gift certificates by Altenew. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.